Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the West Lindsey series. This is one of the 9 districts of Lincolnshire and one of the county's most rural. It has 128 civil parishes. Let's see which one this episode's all about. Hello people, welcome back to West Lindsey. Now I'm on Nicky's GoPro here because if you watch my Dunholm and Welton episode you'll know that my GoPro batteries are dead and it's still the same day. But thankfully Nicky is with me and I've got her GoPro. However, I've left her in the car for this one and Hannah is just joining me for this one. So we're going to have a nice walk around this place. Not a very big one, but it does have a very large and very interesting landmark, and that's a massive hall. We're starting outside its school. Welcome, folks, to Hackthorne. The West Lindsey series is sponsored by Gainsborough Cycles 01427 617 752. For all your cycling needs, this is your one-stop shop, located at 20 Ropery Road or online at gainsboroughcycles.com. There's a link in the description. Gainsborough Cycles, ask for Trevor Halstead. And this video is also sponsored by Jamie's Fitness Studio, based on Low Road, Grayingham, near Curtin in Lindsey. Jamie is one busy lady. Check her out by calling 07906 749 574 or emailing hello@jamies.co.uk. Online membership is available. There's a link to her Facebook page in the description. Jamie's Fitness Studio. Get fit, get happy, get healthy. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. More West Lindsey for you today, folks. Here's Hackthorne, which lies to the north of Welton. Its parish council is a combined effort with neighbouring Cold Hanworth. Hackthorne is spelt these days without a trailing E, that is to say Hackthorn, but in times past an E would have been added to the end of its name. The village dates back to at least Roman times. Its most prominent building is Hackthorne Hall, a large square brick house rebuilt in the late 18th century in a landscape park of around 100 acres. It's a popular wedding venue and operates mainly along those lines nowadays, but it has some interesting history involving, of all things, a grapevine. It was the seat of the Cracroft family, and the house as we know it today isn't the original. It remains, however, the most well-known feature of Hackthorne today. But of course, I know a little more about this place. For example, the Hackthorne you see before you is very different to the one that existed in the 14th century. I'll show you why in this episode. The modern village amenities include a school and a church, but there's also a very unusual village hall and an art gallery, and that's before you consider the ornamental lake. For a small place, we've got lots to cover. Let's get to it, shall we? We begin at the eastern end of Main Street at Hackthorne C of E Primary School, which describes itself as being a small, traditional school with a modern outlook. It was built in 1870 and then subsequently enlarged in 1887 for students of both this parish and nearby Cold Hanworth. Mostly houses immediately thereafter, our next landmark is a small war memorial bearing the names of 12 men lost in the 2 World Wars. That's right opposite this little shelter, which was for a bus stop. However, there are no services which currently stop here, according to Google. A right turn then takes us down to Chapel Lane, and here we have an old Wesleyan Methodist chapel, apparently used now as Hackthorne's estate office. And this is where we encounter a small beck for the first time. We're effectively following this next. Keep it in mind, it's important throughout. It's quite open, quite exposed out here, so there's plenty of ice around. And Hannah's having fun at the moment, trying to break the ice on some of the puddles. I'll laugh if you fall over, I'll be honest with you, Hannah. Not being horrible, but you know, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Right, let's keep going. Given we're so close to the beck, there's no prizes for guessing why Beck Lane is so named. It's narrow and generally straight, lined with old stone cottages. However, there is a little left-right kink in the road, and at this point you can get a great view of our next landmark, and it's something which you wouldn't necessarily know was there. To the north of Beck Lane is a swathe of earthworks. What you're looking at here is the northern half of the original Hackthorne village. Hackthorne used to occupy land on both sides of the beck, but thanks to the Black Death in the mid-14th century, the population here was more than halved. That's why these earthworks stretch for almost the entire length of the modern Hackthorne village, lying in 3 distinct protected sections. Easily one of the largest earthwork areas we've ever seen, these include the buried remains of the rest of the village, together with its associated farmsteads and cultivation remains. Another patch of very well pronounced earthworks here in West Lindsey. What a surprise. We see them all the time in this district, and there's another lot to see next week as well. Bit of a clue as to what's coming next. For now though, we are here at this junction, turning to the right and heading towards the church. To get to the church, we first have to pass the village hall along this unnamed road leading to Hackthorne Hall. Here's the beck again. The village hall is a little hidden. You have to walk through an otherwise private yard, which I didn't film, to get to this tunnel, through which you access the village hall. This is considered to be the best in the local area. It comprises 2 adjoining rooms and a patio area, all of which can be hired, the patio generally in the summer. The hall has a separate parking area over the road, which is shared with the church, and at its entrance there's an egg stall. We duly obliged. At this point you'll hear rushing water. What you'll be hearing is a small waterfall running from this lake, which is what feeds the beck we've been following. In fact, the lake is the beck, because at this point it's been purposely enlarged to form an ornamental lake as part of the grounds and gardens of Hackthorne Hall. That was a little bonus. Picked up some eggs there, some nice free-range local eggs. Excellent. Okay, so this time, for real, we are heading towards the church. And there you have it. There's the church, the tower. You can see just behind this tree. We'll go and check that out now. Situated among the trees which overlook the lake is Hackthorne's Victorian Gothic church, dedicated to St Michael and All Angels. This one was open, so we were able to get in and have a look around, after of course leaving a card on the notice board in the porch. 47 to go. In the Domesday Book, a church is mentioned in Hackthorne, although it would have been a very different building to this. This church was largely rebuilt in 1849, reusing the same stones as its predecessor. It includes a carved reredos screen and a gallery which we were able to get up onto. It's only thanks to Hannah that we were able to access the gallery, because I mistakenly thought the door leading to it was locked. It turned out it was just a bit stiff. From up here you can see pretty much all of the church's best features. Among them is an 1869 Nicholson organ, fully restored in 2006. So as well as getting a magnificent view of the church from up here on the gallery, there's also, if you look up above the door, a magnificent coat of arms as well. Isn't that nice? So upon leaving the church, you're not far away from Hackthorn Hall. In fact, to get to Hackthorn Hall, all you need to do is get to the other side of these buildings here. This is a delivery entrance. The main entrance is around here, but we can't go up there because it's a private road. We've already checked this out. There's a sign at these gates which says private, no through road. So I won't be able to get up close and personal with Hackthorn Hall. However, that wasn't for the want of trying, because I did email them a few days ago asking if I could walk into the estate, film a couple of shots of the hall, but they never got back to me. And so because of that, I can't go in there and do that without permission. So today, the special section in this video will be all about Hackthorn Hall. Hackthorne Hall has been the seat of the Cracroft family since 1618, when John Cracroft inherited the estate from his uncle, Robert Grantham. The original 17th century hall was replaced in the 1790s by a new house on a different site, west of the church. The old house was later pulled down. It's a Grade 1 listed building surrounded by formal gardens and landscaped parkland. The gardens run to 15 acres and have sections designed by Bunny Guinness. Among its features is a 400-year-old walled garden containing a glass house boasting the second oldest grapevine in Britain, planted in 1868. Hackthorn Hall is a popular wedding venue. Seeing as it's so close to the church, it's not uncommon for people to marry in the church and then make the short trip through the gardens to the hall for the reception. And to be honest, with this as your backdrop, why would you say no? There's a couple of landmarks left on Main Street. Here's Forge Arts, a former Victorian joiner's workshop. This was established in 2005 as a picture framing workshop. It's now an art gallery which exhibits work by local artists, including that of Mick Burns, a celebrated chainsaw artist and sculptor famed for his perching owls. Next we pass the old dairy, pretty self-explanatory as to what this was, let's be fair. There was another stall here, but it was empty. Over the road we have the old rectory. Fun fact, before the original Hackthorn Hall was demolished, it was retained for a while as a rectory. Not far up the road is a vicarage, and almost dead opposite that is an old schoolhouse. I have no date for it, but presumably the current school replaced this. And lastly, Hannah decided to check out what was in the old red phone box. I can tell you from this angle, it's the village's defibrillator. Okay, and that's brought us round in a neat little loop. We're back to the shelter where Hannah was earlier, and dead opposite the War Memorial, which is just there, and the school is down there, back to the start. And that is pretty much Hackthorn. Not a bad little place, very small, not big like Dunholm and Welton were in the last couple of episodes. Although, to be honest with you, a lot of what's left in West Lindsey is kind of this size. So get used to seeing this as the year wears on, people. There'll be plenty more like this to see yet. Anyway, this has been Hackthorn, and I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.